Yeah, it's John G. Sutton here. Tales from the jails. I'm going to talk today about the National Front, which is or was a supposed political movement which was, I consider it to be xenophobic and racist. But at Strangeways, in the mid to late 70s and early 80s, there was a group of members of the National Front at Strangeways prison, and they were openly, quite frank about the fact that they were members of the National Front. And they used to wear a ceramic badge, was a furled Union Jack. That was the sign of the that you were a member of the National Front. Eventually, the Home Office banned all the regalia. You weren't allowed to wear it on your uniform. Quite rightly not. Yeah. Now, go back in time. There was a member of Parliament. He ended up as the chairman of the Labour Party. His name was Eric Heffer. He was the member of Parliament for Liverpool Walton. And Eric Heffer contacted me and asked me to do some research into the National Front. It might sound unlikely, but that's what happened. Because obviously at the time I was out in the open as trying to do something about trade union representation in the prison service. Because, let's be honest about it, if it was a real trade union, the Prison Officers Association, they wouldn't be allowing their members to work in conditions like they have in prisons. They wouldn't, would they? They wouldn't allow their workers to work 14-hour days and get paid 12 hours. They wouldn't do that, would they? But they were doing it. And I decided that we couldn't continue like this. Really, we needed a proper trade union. So I started one. I had a couple of solicitor friends of mine who were assisting me in doing this, and it was called the Prison Force Federation. Anyway, that's how I came to the attention of Eric Heffer. So he asked me to investigate into the National Front, and believe it or not, the chairman of the Prison Officers Association at Strangeways, the branch of the Strangeways, was a principal officer called Brian Baldwin. And Brian Baldwin must have mistaken me for a fellow traveller. I don't know how he managed to do that. But he invited me to attend a meeting of the National Front in Manchester and offered to take me. He said, I'll drive you there, John. We'd like you to join us, you know. I think the idea was that they wanted some organisation on their committee, you know, because he was the chairman of the National Front Northwest UK, you know, so all the Northwest of England National Front. He was the chairman of that, as well as being the chairman of the Prison Officers Association and a principal officer at Strangeways. So, anyway, I agreed to go over this meeting, but I said I'd get myself there, because I thought, maybe you're going to have to make an early exit here, John. But anyway, I went along, and I sat quite near the front, and Brian Baldwin was addressing the meeting, because obviously he'd organised it, being the chairman of the National Front for the northwest of the UK. It was held in Manchester. I think it was at Mosley Hall. It used to be owned by Oswald Mosley. And all of you know about history will know about Oswald Mosley and the Black Shirts. Yeah, that was a fascist movement in the UK. So appropriately enough, the National Front meeting was held there, and I went along, and the guest speaker, believe this or not, and you can check it, I highly recommend that you do check it, was David Duke. Now, David Duke, or David Dukes, was the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. Seriously. Then the bloody Ku Klux Klan addressing and lecturing to the members of the National Front. There were about 200 people in the hall, and David Jukes had them all jumping up, shouting, "White power, white power." Seriously, there was one fat bastard just in front of me, jumped up, must have been pissed, started shouting white power with his arms in the air, tried to sit down, missed the chair, fell on the floor. I thought, oh, it's a bloody shambles this is. Anyway, after David Jukes had spouted his hatred, and it was vile stuff, Holocaust denial and all that nonsense, yeah. So I was making... I got the memory switched on. I was taking mental notes for this to write the report for Eric Heffer. And anyway, at the end of the meeting, at the end of all this nonsense, Brian Baldwin says to me, "John, will you come and join us for an hour?" So I thought, because I'm here, might as well go in for a penny, in for a pound, So I went with him back to another office, like a big office. There were 8 people there. He said, "This is the committee for the Northwest National Front." He said, "And we're discussing our next march. We're going to march through Manchester. Provocation thing." And he got a big map out showing the route. We start here at Manchester Cathedral, then we go down Deansgate. He said, "And when we get to Peter Street, we turn left up Peter Street, and that's where we're going to get attacked." So I said, I realise I'm only here to just, oh no, I said, "John, we want you to advise us. How do we safely attack our own members? Because this is like a false flag operation to get us publicity. So we're not getting enough publicity in the press, and we need to have a march that's attacked, and we'll blame the ethnic minority groups and all this." I said, right, okay. I said, "Well, the first thing you've got to remember is you don't really want to injure your own members." I said, "So it's got to be an attack, but it's got to be a soft attack." So I said, "What I suggest you do is that you flour bomb them. So they're all covered in flour." I said, "And I can see the headlines as I'm speaking." I said, "It's white flour meets white power." Absolutely brilliant, John. Wonderful. Welcome on board. Join the committee. I thought, little do you know, mate. Little do you know. Anyway, when I escaped from that bunch of maniacs, I wrote the report out and sent it to Eric Heffer, and I also sent a copy to the Jewish Gazette. The Home Office were absolutely in an uproar about all this, because David Duke was staying with Brian Baldwin, and he was banned from Britain. Hey, National Front, yeah, what a dangerous bunch of bastards they were. Anyway, I got them in all the papers. They didn't like that. Anyway, here we go. I'm going to recite you a poem now. No singing yet, unless I get some specific requests. But this is a nice poem that I remember from when I was at school, and John Masefield was the poet laureate, and this is Sea Fever, which is probably his most famous poem, apart from Cargoes, which I did the other day. But this is Sea Fever. I must go down to the sea again, to the lonely sea and the sky, and all I ask is a tall ship and a star to steer her by, and the wheels kick and the wind's song and the white sails shaking, and a grey mist on the sea's face and a grey dawn breaking. I must go down to the sea again, for the call of the running tide is a wild call and a clear call that may not be denied, and all I ask is a windy day with the white clouds flying and the flung spray and the blown spume and the seagulls crying. I must go down to the sea again, to the vagrant gypsy life, to the gull's way and the whale's way, where the wind's like a whetted knife. And all I ask is a merry yarn from a laughing fellow rover, and a quiet sleep and a sweet dream when the long trick's over. That was Sea Fever by John Masefield. Spike Milligan did a version of this. It goes something like this. It's top of my head, you know. I must go down to the sea again, to the lonely sea and sky. I left my socks and shirt there. I wonder if they're dry. That was Spike Milligan. As I said, I was going to sing Old Man River the other day, but I didn't quite get round to it. Yeah. Anybody who wants Old Man River, note below, comments, and I'll do it. Yep. Thank you very much. Hey, get my book, by the way.